And
Good. I am recording the audio. I'm trying to go live on Facebook and Instagram all at the same time.
hi, everybody. Tuning in on Instagram. This is weird, isn't it? That's my hand there. That's my face. This is live. This is live. This is live. You're live, and I'm live. I'm there. That's Ricky Long, and we're about to do a little chat on his. What is that noise? I think my laptop's possessed. It keeps turning on and off in the kitchen. I'm gonna have to check it out. You're gonna have to hold, mate. You're gonna have to do a comic relief and hold the space for a bit.
That's all right. I'll just chat here. 5 things I have learned about lockdown. Thing 1, helps you stay positive and motivated. You've got to keep your morning routine. You've got to get up at that time. And you're going to have to hear the next 4.
Hello, everybody. So, Ricky, let's do this, mate. You're in charge. I'm going to sit back.
You know what, mate? I was really enjoying that because I was doing the intros for all the rest of them, and you just started talking there, and it was just like, this is awesome. Happy days. I feel like I've got staff.
Whoa!
So this is coffee with Tommy. So normally for the coffee listeners out there, we've been doing this for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'll just have coffee with people kind of in the middle of the day. And it started off, kind of during lockdown and the apocalypse, because it was just, a nice way to chat to people, connect with people and bring conversations. And then I wanted to get you on for a coffee, obviously.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, let's do 8 p.m. at night. And yes. I said, who drinks coffee at 8 p.m. at night? And you have a brilliant story to kind of make this make sense. But first of all, what are you drinking? I've just got tea.
What am I drinking? So actually it was the last thing I thought about, because I have been known to sink a couple of cappuccinos this late at night in these current circumstances.
Yeah.
For tonight though, I have water.
Okay.
And that's me telling the truth, because I thought about lying and saying it was tea. But I've got water, but it's in a mug, because I know that I knew you were going to ask. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Just a lie. Just a lie and say you were drinking tea, or coffee, so as you seemed all cool. Because that's what cool kids drink.
8 p.m. Quarter past 8. So, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. So for everyone watching this live, we've got our phones in front of us. So if there are any questions throughout, fire them in. It is my mission to get better at responding to the live questions, because no one missed a few in the last one, only from watching them back. So soz for that. So yeah, just a quick one. Tommy G. Who is Tommy G?
I'm just a fella trying to do his best to help others, and I've been doing that my whole professional life, starting in the fitness industry, and now I'm actually grateful to be working with business owners. So that's me. I'm just a fella doing his best, which is my new answer to that question, because I think it's easier then for you to ask me more questions rather than me go on and tell you my life story.
Okay, so when you say you're doing your best working with other business owners, what types of businesses do you work with, and what do you find yourself kind of doing in that? What tasks are you tasked with?
So it's 2-pronged approach, really. It's the human being behind the business. And that comes from coming up to 8 years of experience as a life coach, and having studied NLP practitioner qualifications and coaching qualifications in 2012. So I've had a lot of experience with working with different people with different goals. So every business is driven by a human being, and therefore is subject to overwhelm and stress and emotional ups and downs. And then the other approach is mostly digital marketing.
Yeah.
So I work with business owners that have teams of between 3 and 10 members of staff, who might run retail businesses or e-commerce businesses. And yeah, we kind of work on them and we work on the business. And my philosophy is to keep things really simple and to take that stress and overwhelm out of the equation so that they can enjoy. Because when people go into business, they often do it because they are passionate about something. And sometimes they can find that their passion and everything else that's involved in running a business just gets too much and they lose that bit of fun and that feeling of making a difference, making an impact. So I like to get people back in tune with that.
You said there about digital marketing, and it reminded me of a post I saw you put up on LinkedIn. Now, I only saw it today or yesterday, and it was about Facebook adverts, 7%. And I thought that was really, really good, because it made what seems a bad return at first. It made you realize. Could you talk us through that analogy for anyone listening, if that's all right?
Yeah. What was the number there you quoted?
I think it was something like 7%. You said, so if only 7% of your people see your advert, but those 7% watched like 80% of your video, and something like that.
I'm with you. So basically, the 7% was when, and this, like, I have to assume that people don't know a thing about Facebook ads, right?
Guilty.
So let's just go in, keep it real simple. When you post a video on Facebook, Facebook understands and knows the data behind that video in terms of watches, like video views. And when you run it as a promotion or an advert or a sponsored ad, you can actually see how many people have watched that video or it's made an impression on for 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 25% of the video, 50% of the video, 75% of the video, 95% of the video, or 100% of the video. And the 7% was the 7% of the entire audience who'd watched that video made it to 75%, and it was a 10-minute long video.
Yeah.
So let's just take a round number of every 100 people, 7 were watching it to 7.5, 8 minutes. No subtitles, no glitz and glamour, just me sat here with my manky colour wall, just talking, right? And the reason why that was quite interesting is because before the lockdown, that never happened. It never happened. At 7% might seem like not much for people, but it's huge. Because people were so busy and distracted, and most of the time they're consuming content when they're in the queue for Costa or Starbucks. Yeah. Or they're on the toilet, or they're kind of just they're in a conversation with someone and they're just browsing through and they go, "Oh, that looks interesting," and then they forget about it forever. Mm-hmm. Whereas now people are watching more stuff and they're spending more time watching more stuff. And there's like this whole bunch of new people on the internet now that weren't really internet people. And they have to be now because it's the only way to stay in touch with their family and friends, and it's the only way to buy things. So they're all like, wow, there's videos on this thing. And they're watching them all, right? Because they don't know otherwise. We're just so conditioned to think quickly and stuff. But so yeah, here's the thing about the 7%. And those that are still listening, you probably lost a bunch of listeners, by the way, because it's boring, but I find it very exciting. Every single person, 100% of the people who stayed to 75, stayed to 100. So they all stayed for another 2.5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Not a single person turned it off between 75 and 100% of that video. And so that was why it was a big deal. And, as you know, mate, in the stuff that you're involved in and working with other PTs, other fitness professionals, other coaches, there are 2 golden rules that we know. 1 is that the only way to help people is to actually help them. And 2 is the only way to prove something is to actually prove it. So it's just like who's got the best idea otherwise, who's got the most interesting way of sharing an idea. Evidence is evidence. And that's why I got super excited about that, because I thought, this is from the battlefield. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and to make it really real for people, I think the number that you quoted, you quoted it there as well, arguably better, just because I'm listening rather than reading. So if 100 people watched it, 7%, so 7 people watched right to the end.
Yes.
So that, 7 people are 100% engaged with you to watch a 10-minute video, and they are like, if those 7 people happen to buy from you, not based off that video but just in general, that's 7 sales which you did not have. That's 7 more people who you can make a difference with and who they can. So that's why it's the argument of, I can't do online PT because I don't have 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm like, do you have 50 followers? And they're like, yeah, I have 200. I'm like, well, that's 200 people who are already engaged with you. You know, what if 10% of those actually wanted an online PT? Have you asked? And they're like, well, no. And I was like, well, maybe now is a good time to ask. You got to test the waters.
It's the digital, it's the same as the metaphor of the grass is green on the other side, you know, looking over the fence at all the followers that you don't have.
Yeah.
And actually you've got this garden here, which you could really make the most of and serve. And, you know, interesting thing about the fitness industry is that, you know, I used to do a bit of work helping PTs back in the day. And I always used to say to the guys and girls that I helped, if a personal trainer is the guy or girl, the go-to guy or girl for simply his or her friends and family, they will be full-time PT.
I love that.
So like, just instead of trying to do all these super complicated things, why don't you like phone your auntie up and say, hey auntie, you know, I do this fitness stuff. You know, what can I help you with? Or I tell you what, who out of your friendship circle is always talking about they want to lose weight and get in shape?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we try and, I say we, the proverbial we, the fitness professionals tend to kind of be in a race with other fitness professionals, and
yes,
it doesn't need to be the way. Like, you got to think about what the end goal is. What is the objective? If the objective is to build a secure career, then you only need to be looking at 10, 15 human beings that you see every week, and you're probably earning a decent amount, and got a bunch of free hours in your week.
Yeah, a quote I fell upon by accident was, you know, own your postcode.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, just own your postcode. So if
I've seen you post that. I've seen that. I like that you saying about being somebody. I think it was you. I'm pretty sure it was you. Somebody kind of, you posted something and someone was like, they kind of like, it was sort of like they bigged you up, you know, like they, as if they were stood behind you going, yeah, Ricky, go.
Yeah.
Right? And you were just like, no, just be the local guy.
Yeah.
I was like, that's great, because that's the way to win your objective. Your objective is what? It's to have a full-time calendar and diary of clients.
Yeah.
They're right there.
Be known in your street as, you know, the keep fit house, you know, the keep fit couple. And then if anybody in your street wants help, they're going to think of you, and then transfer that postcode to your gym. So be the best person in the gym at something. So as when everybody wants pre and postnatal, they're not thinking of Ricky Long. But if somebody wants to get fit to teach a body pump class, I would like to think they would think of me before the other PTs in the room. And it's just, own your postcode. Or you've kind of made that even closer. It's like, own your family. I was like, ooh, that's good. Man, tell us about your bunker, because I have never had a man cave, and I've always wanted a man cave. This is close. You've got a bunker, which, you know, that sounds like you're ready for whatever COVID-19 has to throw at us.
Mate, do you know what? Like, we could just talk about this, because, mate, like, honestly, it's the best thing that's happened in this whole thing is I've got a man cave now. Yeah, like, honestly, it's the best thing. And you know, I was joking in the first like week or so how, you know, me and my son Lincoln, like, we've got version 1 of the man cave now. But because before this was like even the couch that I'm sat on here was like up on its side with the cushions off from when we moved house, and we were like, oh, we'll get rid of that chair. You couldn't move in here. It was just full of junk. And the very first thing that I was like, right, gym's closed. I was like, right, okay, you've ran this scenario through your head a few times here. Security is the first and foremost. We're going to have a place that we can store extra food if we have to. I'm proud to say that we haven't got a bunch of rations in here. We've got a couple of boxes of baby food and stuff just in case, but we could have been a lot worse, let's put it that way. And I was like, right, I need a place to work that's going to be in its own area of the house and stuff. So I got my computer, my lights, managed to fit the couch in, which was nice. Hoovered the floor, put a little rug down, got a few weights in here too. Now we've literally got a man cave. Check this out. This counts. You don't call it a man cave unless you've got something. Batman.
100%. You know,
I even got this from work, and like, you know, got nowhere to put it, but it goes on the radiator. Look at that.
Original Batman, the dynamic duo. Love it.
And that goes on here because then that's like, yeah, well, there we go. It's official. It's a bat cave. It's a man cave.
Have you, invested in the PlayStation, like the PlayStation 1?
Oh, mate, it's torture. There's a PS4 down there, but it's a bit of a tender one in our house. I'm quite. I can get into these things. Let's just put it that way. And actually, I'm proud to say, and this is like PlayStation Anonymous, isn't it? I'm proud to say I haven't touched that PlayStation for 5 weeks.
All right, okay.
Which is totally the thing that surprised me the most out of this whole situation. I was thinking, all this time at home, I'm going to become the best in the world at FIFA. That's going to happen. Because I play it, maybe once a week. Mate, I haven't touched it. And it's a really good thing. I'm not afraid to say it now. It's a really, really good thing. Because you hear all the time about, if you're playing games, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But then you justify it by going, yeah, it's downtime and it's enjoyable. But I fucking hate losing on that game. and when I get beat by some little from the other side of I'm like, nah. And it does have an effect on me. It does. It makes me like moody,
I can totally relate to that. That happens to me. So, we've had the chats before about Football Manager, and I have that with Football Manager. I mean, that is a vortex of clicking buttons. Strategy. It's strategy. That is an absolute vortex. You could lose. I have lost weekends before because of Football Manager.
We've had this chat before, haven't we? I think I'd probably be working for NASA if I didn't have Football Manager between the ages of 11 and 15. I probably would have actually fulfilled my potential in my academic years.
I would say to my guys, so I think it's really important you allow time for stupid shit. But as long as the stupid shit lives in the 20%, not the 80%. So if we're locked down for 10 weeks, do not spend more than 2 weeks of that playing FIFA. Anything up to 2 weeks, that's fine. That's still a lot of FIFA. But yeah, as long as it doesn't become more, I'm not sure. I haven't touched Football Manager in a while. I wonder how that stays.
Don't do it, Ricky. Don't do it. It will steal your soul. And the thing is, right? Nowadays, it's a genuine career path.
Yes.
Right? So gaming, and even more so, like, this is evidence of this. Lockdown has stopped all decent sport being played.
Mm-hmm.
People are tuning in to watch people play computer games.
Yeah, watch professional sports people play computer games.
Yeah, like, the only thing that's missing from this chat, I think, is Mario Kart or, like, playing some sort of game while we're chatting, That would be wicked. And that's possible. That is possible to do. It's Twitch, isn't it?
I'll set that up. I'll set that up for the next lockdown.
We won't. But yeah, don't do it, mate. It will steal your soul. And the thing is, because it's a career path now, it's the greatest fantasy for someone to have as a means to justifying it.
Yeah,
it's scary to think my son could be playing a game at some point, which will probably be some sort of like augmented video, like VR thing by the time he's like 15. But I could like run in there, like run into his room, like my mum used to do to me. Yeah. On like a summer Saturday afternoon when it's like 28 degrees outside, she'd run into my room and be like, right. And she'd grab my controllers and rip them out. And then she'd be like, you're banned for 2 weeks. And I'd be like, she'd be like, get outside and get some fresh air and do some exercise. Right. If I do that to him in 10 years, he'll go, but Dad, it's my dream. Then what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go, it's not like, if it was like, if he was, I don't know, painting or doing keep-ups in the garden and be like, stop doing that. But like, Dad, it's my dream. You'd be like, crack on. But because it's computer games,
it's bad.
Where does the land lie?
Yeah, we view that as bad. Our generation. Back in my day, we had to earn our computer time. When you were saying there about your bunker, it just kind of cast me back to your working life right now. Obviously, gyms are shut, but you're not shut. So how are you working it with Kelly, family time, etc., etc.? Because I think a lot of people will probably identify with the struggles of home parenting for some, homeschooling for some. I know your guys aren't that age yet.
No.
So what's the situation?
It's hard to work in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Super hard to work in the day, which is why we were joking about this time for coffee, which is usually at 11 a.m. for you guys when you do these.
Yeah.
I start work at roughly 7:15, 7:30 p.m. Aside from doing a little bit if the kids are, well, the little one's asleep and Lincoln's in a flow, so he's like, he's not needing me. Then I'll be able to do a little bit, but most of the concentrated work efforts are done after 7:30 p.m. Every single night. I'm not even, first week I was like, I'm not going to keep this up. This is all a little bit of a show at the moment. But I promise you, every single night since the 20th of March, I've been working to at least 11:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the no PlayStation, hence that. Because if I'm not working, it's like my window is gone. Mm-hmm. For that 24-hour period. And I could wake up the next day and I know that if I'm in any kind of mindset of regret or, oh shit, I've got all that to do, but I wasted my time, then I then have to keep that hidden and not let it affect how I am with the kids, which is the most important thing because they're watching and learning all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult. It is. So anyone out there that's got little ones at home and is trying to sort of weigh it up, you have to think in extraordinary circumstances, you have to act in extraordinary ways. Mm-hmm. And me and Kelly and I had a sit down at the start of this and we were like, right, this is how it needs to be. Work starts when the kids are in bed. There are a few exceptions where she might have a live stream class at 10:30 or in the morning, or I might have like my client group, which is every couple of weeks on a Friday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Those are the only things though.
And how do you find that is working? Because it's obviously a long day because you're going to be switched on from 7, 8 a.m. when the kids get up and the house wakes up, and then it's all day energy with family, and then you have to switch. You have to put family to bed, and then you have to switch on because I'm done. Like say after 3, 4 p.m. in the day, my creative energy juices they're done. It's the only things that get done after that is what has to be done. So I'm just curious, how do you pick yourself up apart from cappuccino?
I think concentrating on, like someone said to me the other day about how if your kids' eyes don't sparkle when you look at them, then that's your fault as a parent.
That's harsh. Probably a scary reality. But
yeah,
that'd be hard to hear.
Hit home because I thought, well, I never noticed before, but I'm actually, my kids, they're so young that I could be the biggest dickhead in the world and they'd still look at me and be like, Dad, they're so young. But it did kind of make me think, okay, well, that's what I'm going to concentrate on because that's special. Mm-hmm. When their eyes are sparkling, when they're looking at me because we're about to go and do something together, or I've made them laugh, or I say, come here and give them a hug or whatever. And it's that the genuine, because that really is the North Star for me and a lot of people at the moment. That's the North Star because there's so much that we want to do that we can't do, but then there's so much that is there in front of us that we can enjoy. And so for me, it is those little kids, those little human beings. So like, I'm trying to think of, Link is 3.5. And I genuinely, it makes me feel a bit sick when I think back to who I was 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
There are parts of my life that I'm extremely grateful to have learned that they weren't how they should be. It occurred to me that my son didn't really know anything about me. He didn't really know what I do. Mm-hmm. He never see me do anything. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought this like a couple of years ago when I stopped the Les Mills stuff, and I was like, well, my son's never going to see me do any kicking and punching. He's not going to know that I have these skills that I've basically trained my whole life in martial arts. He's not going to know any of that. He'll never be interested because he'll never be looking at me practicing or anything like that. Football, he didn't like football. Now he freaking loves it.
Good, that's a win.
He's like running if you'd have said to me before all this, how's it going to feel when your son says to you, Dad, can we please go and play football? I'll be like, that's never going to happen, because you could just think, like, he's not really interested. But honestly, every day.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we're in the garden and he's seeing me do it, and he's seeing me like wearing my football shirt, and he's like wearing his, and I think back to before all this, and I'm like, he didn't even really know who I am. I'm just like the guy that comes home and does bath every now and again, and when he is around at the house, he's all stressed and looking at his phone, which was really quite hard to accept. But this process has really taught me that, and I'm really grateful, because I don't have a lot going on, whereas a few months ago I had a lot going on. I've leaned everything right down, so I've got a few real hands-on, high value, as in they pay me a lot of money, clients that I am there for every day. Then I have my group that I do a bit for them every few days, or every now and then. The gym's closed, and there's not a lot that can be done there. And that's it. I'm very grateful for that, because if I had been the Mr. Busybody and, I've got to do this thing, and, I've got to do that, then there would be no escaping anything, because the kids would see it. Kelly would be going crazy at me, and it would all be misdirected energy.
I think what you've described is probably what a lot of parents are maybe realizing right now, because, one, or, in a lot of cases, obviously two parents out of the house all day, come in, dinner, bed, repeat. And that's it. And now all of a sudden they're all spending time at home and kind of meeting their children, and children their parents.
Yeah. I think there'll be a lot of moving and shaking with like jobs, and people's values, I think, are shifting. I think as employers, we have to be ready for that. We have to sort of embrace how we can be more lenient or open to people perhaps having more time off or working remotely every now and again.
So I'm just having to plug my phone in because my phone's down in battery. I think a lot of businesses have just almost been the whole working from home thing. A lot of businesses can survive working from home who previously may have said, you must be in the office. And a lot of gyms have been a lot of businesses have been forced to evolve in this. And I think, we've said this in private message. We said this in the last podcast. The world's going to evolve now because it's being forced to, in all senses of the word. And it's scary, it's exciting, it's interesting, it's fun.
Yeah, I guess the counter argument is that it has only been one proper full calendar month. And if you imagine that and you amplify it for a quarter or even for half a year, and then you look at the implications of not having people in the office and having that ability to look at them and know that they're working and be able to help them when they need it, I think that would have eventually a damaging effect on productivity levels, quality, in some industries, obviously. Now, that, though, then opens up an opportunity for those that are more productive and able to motivate and self-motivate. You could actually become a very, very valuable person right now in lockdown, listening or watching this. You could just be honing your ability to concentrate, to learn, to produce results at home, to be self-motivated. Doing that is going to put you in a very valuable position in terms of future employment, because this is the thing. Although you might not be running a business and have the business evidence to say, hey, look what I did in March, April, May 2020, I did this thing. But you'll always be able to tell your person who's interviewing you what you did do in March, April, May 2020. So if you sit down in an interview process in a few months' time and someone's like, so, why should we give you the job? And you go, well, I'll tell you what, the only way that I can really explain that is by sharing with you what I did with my time in lockdown from the coronavirus. Well, I spent the first month learning this, and then I did this, and then I did that. And the reason I did all those things is I want to sit here in front of you and get this job. You're going to get employed.
By the way, what a great interview question.
It's a great interview question, isn't it? So what the f were you doing? I was completing FIFA.
But you can never complete FIFA. How did you complete
it? That's the thing. You can never complete FIFA. Ever. That is it. That's what they get you with.
Yeah. I think people watching will. I'm kind of thinking of your, members and staff right now.
Yep.
When did we do that podcast? Because it was building up to this, wasn't it?
I think it must have been about 7 weeks ago, maybe 7 or 8 weeks ago.
It was building up, and you were starting to put into place strategies then. I'm not talking about, yes, you were doing these, the cleaning of the gym and the social distancing, etc., which it's great because you kept the place open. There's my phone falling. As long as possible. You've created the whole online kind of community, even more so than what you had. How are things going there, and how are, the staff? And you did this brilliant post about how the staff had been helping you out and putting all these workouts together, etc.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the truth of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
When it all started to come to light that there was a bit of a problem, and that we probably would. And everyone, by the way, back then was like, oh my God, can you imagine what would happen if we have to close? And now we're just like, oh yes, like, we understand it because we're 5 weeks deep. But before that, you got to remember what it felt like. Everyone was like freaking the heck out, right?
Yeah.
So I saw what might happen. Obviously, I thought we could close. And if we do, or we have restrictions, we have to be able to survive. First and foremost, this is before any government announcements of the furlough scheme, grants, support, loans, all of that came out. The first thing was like, how can we protect ourselves here? So that drove the innovation to go and create an online forum for people who were members of ours to basically stay as members so that they could do something. We filmed like 50 mini workouts and helpful videos. We did that 2 weeks before the closure.
Mm-hmm.
And we put it all in the hub. And we basically added to it every day. Like the guys were working super hard, adding videos in all the time. Then when we eventually did close, I had this idea that we could take this further afield, which makes sense. However, I haven't done that. And that's the truth of the answer. And the reason is because, A, it's a special area for our members to just stay connected and to just enjoy the workouts that are already in there, and to catch up with them on a frequent basis. B, because my staff are furloughed. Mm-hmm. So either I've got to make sure that this online thing earns more to pay for them, or I've got to not do it.
Yeah.
And so we didn't do it. As in, we didn't go further afield. I started launching. I started the launch process, but just didn't launch it. Yeah. So that's where we're at. We've got this safe place for our members who can connect and do all these workouts that we've already filmed. And not all of them have done it, and we understand. Of course, we understand. But the decisions to start this thing were way before any announcements were made of what we could have to help us, and we're super grateful. I'm very grateful that we've got this support. I honestly think it's a godsend, as a small business owner, to have that taken care of. It's such a weight off your shoulders, because otherwise you are slowly crashing every single month.
Yeah,
you're gonna crash, unless you can earn. You're going to completely crash. So it is an actual life raft for businesses. And I know a lot of people giving it stick and stuff, and everyone's circumstances are different.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful.
People have this idea in their head that gyms, doesn't matter whether it's a small gym with 100, 200 members, or it's a big chain with the guts of 100,000 members, that gyms are these multi-million pound operations, and they have, like, when I say operations, liquid multi-million in the bank ready to go. And I think in the first, the whole DABDA response, the stress response rather, is at the start people were just angry at the gyms all closing. And I think this has been really, really good, for, not just from fitness professionals, by the way, from members, to really, really appreciate what gyms offer for what is a stupidly, ridiculously low price. mean, you think what a £40 gym membership gets you? Like, it's ridiculous. But 6 months ago, £40 gym membership was quite a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people are still going to be polarized on their opinion of what is good value for money. And that's the beauty of it, I suppose, of a market that's so open. But I guess one thing from what you said there that I can add to is that the majority of gyms are one of two business plays, right? They're either passionately owned small businesses, and I'd include maybe up to 2 or 3 chains or 2 or 3 sites within that. So somebody like myself who has a gym here and might have a couple of others, and it's just because we love it, and it's like passion fueled, and like we're doing a wicked thing and it's fun, right? Or you got a big corporate company whose motivation a lot of the time, and you can check this out historically, it happens all the time. They land grab. So they basically go and take over a load of sites, or they go and establish themselves in lots of different towns, and then they sell it.
Yep.
Now, what that means is they're not ever in a profitable position, probably, because they're always spending out on this big idea of the sale.
Yep.
Or the stock, right? So they're basically running in that direction of let's land grab, and they sell it. And they don't necessarily sell it to a fitness company. They might sell it to an arm of a massive corporation that's just trying to push a little bit of tax money over there by buying this other business, which is essentially 100 gyms. But in the fitness industry, we see the 100 gyms as like the big giants that have got all the money. In the world, in the economy, they aren't. And they are an exciting proposition for bigger corporations to come and acquire. So it's alarming. And there was a tweet you put out, or you shared an article from the BBC the other day, and it kind of got me thinking, because their margins, the bigger ones, their margins are more, they're in more danger right now, I believe, because they haven't got some of the support that we have, and they are running big operations that have probably got big investors as well.
Mm-hmm.
And those investors will be saying, look, mate, this doesn't look good for you. I want my money. Right? Now they're going, what are we going to do? And I can see a lot, you know, you heard it here first. I can see maybe 1 or 2 of the bigger chains selling over the next year because they basically just cut their losses.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. And when it does, it will be, mate, it could go both ways. You could have someone who comes in and just goes, let's just do this properly, because they're passionate and they've got the money and they're like, this is my chance, I'm taking it. Or you could get more of the same for just someone buying it and buying it cheap.
A lot of businesses, not just gyms, will use this opportunity in general wow, I can't believe I just said that off the tongue. Use this situation to reevaluate everything, you know, in terms of, you know, how they run when they open. If they open again, a lot of them will kind of make those difficult decisions. And, you know, bringing it back to the fitness industry, I think a lot of the, you know, the pupils of the fitness industry, you know, the fitness instructors, the PTs, the coaches, you know, not the CEOs is what I'm trying to say. They've just realized how vulnerable the fitness industry is. You know, I said this in the early days of this COVID, how very, very few businesses will operate with 3 months liquid cash sitting in the bank just in case. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why the furlough scheme come out. That's why all the government grants and loans come out, because that's not how businesses operate. You know, cash flow is king. That's the age-old saying in business land, isn't it?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna kind of finish this up so you can start work. Must be about your lunchtime now.
Yeah. I need to get another coffee now.
People are curious. You know, you put out a lot of good content about mindset, positivity. You've done that excellent TED Talk, which we very, very carefully avoided when we did that podcast, by the way. I don't know how that happened. Okay. What are you doing now for your mental health and physical health?
I'm training more than I was before. Yeah. So obviously one of the great perks of having a gym is you get to steal the best kit. So I have enough here.
Squat rack, assault bike,
treadmill, cable machine in the garden. No, I have. You know, I love it. It's like Armageddon training, right? We've got wrong word to use because that was a chain of franchise of classes. Wrong word to use. I don't do that at all. A barbell with some bumper plates. I've got like an 8-kilo dumbbell set, a 16 kilo and a 25 kilos. That's all I need for that. A bench, although I haven't actually used the bench, and a spin bike. So that's my kit, and it gives me the ability to do all the things I enjoy doing. So I'm training more than I was. I did a little workout before this. Mentally, if you'd have asked me before all this, and I'm going to hold my hands up here and admit that I put out a post before we went in lockdown saying, hey, if we ever go in lockdown, learn a language or like do this or do that. I haven't done any of them things. And the reason is because it's fucking hard, right? Yeah. So mentally, look, it's those moments, like, for example, when the kids go to bed, Kelly and I usually just sit in our room and just like, we just sit there and we're like, well, okay, that was a good day. And it's just those little moments that kind of top you up, and again, like just concentrating on their sparkly eyes, because that just brings everything home. It's going to get harder as well. Like I shared something today. I attended a funeral today, and it was a video link.
Yeah, I saw you post that, and I was like, yeah. I mean, that's all kinds of like just a mind explosion of emotion. Obviously, it's a funeral, but the fact you're dialing into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was in between like Lincoln asking me to play football. Daddy has to do some work and then he'll come and play, right? And Kelly getting ready because she had to go and do a live stream. So I'm like, look, it's a funeral. What can I say, you know? I sat here and I watched it here, and I'm proud to say I wore a tie and I did it properly. It just didn't feel right to not. Mm-hmm. But mate, it was the most, I don't know what to call it. It was cold. Mm-hmm. You're watching it. It looks like a CCTV camera because it's it's a broad view of the room.
Yeah, camera at the back of the room.
Yeah. So it looks like you're sort of tuned into the CCTV camera. Mm-hmm. And then your mind plays tricks on you because you've seen this kind of thing on telly. You know, where there's been a character that's had no one's showed up. So your mind's playing tricks. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's been in a few programs before and stuff where there people who attended funerals and there's no one there, and there was no one there. But the comfort I think that I've found in it is it did happen. The event did happen, because there's that, you get that feeling of like, oh my, how sad is that human being has been denied of that. Mm-hmm. Right? But that was not the case, and that's what we have to, because there's going to be more of them. Yeah. That's what we have to think, is that moment still existed. It was just different. Mm-hmm. I was still sat here. I know that my mum was sat in her house with my dad, and they had their WhatsApp open, and I knew they were there. I knew that there were other people that I am aware of personally that were doing the same thing. That moment still existed. We all shared it, and the person who, I've forgotten what they're technically called, but the person who did the service said some beautiful words. Those that love with their eyes are the only ones that will see this as a loss, and it was because the person's still there, the energy, the soul is still, the memories are still there. And it was peculiar, mate. It was. But you talked about the mental, so you asked me a question, that's where this came from. I walked out of here and my son was in the front room making a den. You know, he had the pillows up, like he had all the cushions off the chairs, and he'd put like a blanket over the top, and he was like, "Look at my den! I've got a garage. He had a garage because of this room," and that's what I mean about he's seeing it all.
Yeah, I was going to say it's because he's seen your bunker and he thought, "Yeah, I need one of those."
Exactly. So he made a little garage out of pillows, and he put another blanket on top of that. So we had like this house and then a little garage. It was hilarious. But then that's it. That's exactly what I'm talking about, which is why I brought this up. It's those simple moments where it matters the most that we have to tune into and allow that to go right inside our head and flush out all the negative thoughts. Because we're in a situation where we simply cannot control so many things that are getting to us. And if we try and control them, we're always going to come up to a dead end.
Yeah.
So we have to just focus on what's in front of us and what we can do, what we can control.
I'm gonna put you on the spot with your reply to me via WhatsApp over the weekend.
Go on.
When we were arranging this meeting,
Yeah.
I said what was I said? Time is meaningless right now. And what
Yes. Yeah. I said time. What did I say? Time means more than.
Said the time is meaningless.
The time is meaningless. Yeah. Yes, because it was about 8 o'clock in the evening, being the morning. Yeah. The time is meaningless, but time is more meaningful than ever.
Yeah, I love that. I think that you better make that an Instagram tile.
That'll probably be my next title post.
Yeah, I might have that.
I'll put Ricky Long like in the same color as the background. So
I wanted to share this with you today. I don't know how long it's been going, but I discovered the Man United podcast.
Yes.
Mate, unbelievable. Eric Cantona, Peter Schmeichel, Gary Pallister, all doing interviews. David May's one of the hosts.
Yeah.
So have you been listening to it, or?
Yeah, I found it the other night because there was this whole Pogba thing, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the Graham Souness and
yeah.
So I watched a YouTuber, Stephen Howson. He's great. Check him if you haven't already checked him. And yeah, I thought this is wicked. I'm loving. I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I'm loving the reruns.
Yes.
On YouTube and stuff. I watched the Champions League final, the 2008 one.
Okay, which one was that?
Where we beat Chelsea.
Of course, I'm on a completely different channel there. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that one, I remember watching that in New Zealand through my laptop. Bear in mind, 2008, there wasn't Sky Sports Online or anything like that. I was watching it through like one of them weird, like I was a proper geek with all the internet stuff early doors. So I had a streaming thing and I was watching it through this sort of like Turkish website. And I remember watching it, but I couldn't, it was all like, of course it went to penalties and we won, but I've never actually seen the game. So like watching it the other day and I was like, this was epic.
Yeah, I've enjoyed that as well. And even just like, I'm so addicted to Twitter right now, and not in a good way. I'm like a thumb roller on Twitter. And I think the algorithm for Twitter is really, really good for giving you what you engage with.
Yeah.
So I am just getting footballer, ex-professional footballer, pundit, like sharing their all-time World 11 team. And I'm reading them all, and I'm starting to jot these ideas down to myself. I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm loving all the nostalgia stuff. Yeah. I nearly bought the Man United 1990, the blue Cup Winners' Cup top.
Yeah.
I nearly bought that because I watched some of that match when Brian McClure scored.
Yeah, good times. That's one good thing about it.
Well, listen, we're going to round this off. So where can people follow you on social media if they're not already involved?
Yeah, just at Tommy Gentleman on Instagram or Twitter. That's the easiest way.
Perfect, mate. Loved having you on.
Mate, thank you. It's been good fun. Enjoy.
Oh,